What up, now? I am Jay the Gentleman. That's at JAI the Gentleman on IG and Facebook. In the last 4 weeks, my guest tonight appeared on Fox Soul to talk about the Truth Awards. Then this happened when he was asked about the topic of pronouns. Check this out.
Let's be clear. A lot of this language is not language that Black, gay, and same gender people use.
Well,
and I think that's part of what's creating a divide between the Black gay community and the Black community is they think that we're choosing between our gayness and our Blackness, and we're Black first. Some of the stuff I think is really political. I get some people don't identify as a man or a woman. They're like non-binary. But I think it gets a little murky when we start talking about the pronouns because in my opinion, I think if you're going to use a pronoun, you need to at least model that gender somewhat well. I was in Target a couple weeks ago and I saw somebody that if I was broke down alongside of the road, I would have expected that person to help me push the doggone car. But I'm squeezing past and I go, "Excuse me, sir." This person turns around and go, I'm a man. How dare you misgender me?" And I'm like, okay, like I understand you wanting to be called whatever you want to be called, but if you want to be called that, at least put some effort into it. You know, they didn't have on no sundress or no kitten heels or nothing. So how was I supposed to know?
My guest tonight has been called one of the most in-demand voices for diversity in comedy. Please welcome Sampson McCormick. Sampson, are you there? Hey, how you doing?
I am here. Hi, Jay. How are you doing?
Why you think they were so triggered?
Well, you can sneeze and trigger them these days.
Okay. I give you that. The girls stay triggered, but they were especially triggered by this one. Don't you think?
Some people were, and I think the people who were genuinely triggered were able to approach me in a way that we were able to have productive conversations. And I have to say I've had a few very productive conversations as a result of that. And I think those people who were triggered and were able to, approach me and engage in it was great dialogue. I think they were triggered, but a lot of people were just outraged because other people were outraged. And that's what a lot of social media is, fake outrage.
What was the productive outcome of said conversations, if you can share?
Oh, I got laid. No, I'm just playing.
I mean, if you did, then I'm here for that.
Right. I mean, these days, again, you never know, Jay. But, I was able to learn a little bit more first about how people could find that harmful.
Okay.
And so we were able to discuss that, and they were also able to understand my point of view. And so on both sides, we were like, I didn't know that that's what you thought. And, they were very positive conversations. As an outcome of that, what I discovered and what we on both sides discovered, it's funny because I actually do got a little dinner date with one of the days coming up. And I'm like, I don't care how many they, thems you are, just bring one because that's all the dinner I'm paying for is one of them.
Okay, I hear that.
But I think that's what's missing is honest conversations. And I'm not one to be politically correct because sometimes that doesn't get at the root of what your issues are. Sometimes you just got to come right out and say it how you see it.
And so, I do think that a part of this outrage was because it's you. Like, Joe Schmo on the street could have a fucked up perspective about anything, but because you are such a profound person in our culture, I think that contributed to some of the authentic or inauthentic outrage. Do you agree?
No, because none of those people have bought tickets to my shows.
I mean, you need to come to Atlanta for some of that. Like, where you been to the east side?
Oh, I just did Atlanta last year, and I'm coming back soon. Atlanta is one of my favorite cities. But the thing is for the people who come to my shows, and August will be 22 years that I've been doing this as a Black, openly gay stand-up comedian. If you come to my shows, I've always talked like this, and over the years, my audience has evolved. That's one of the beautiful things about coming to a Sampson show, is it is a space for everybody to be represented, and you might find yourself sitting next to a person that in any other circumstance you wouldn't have a conversation with. And a lot of people, that's one of the compliments that they have when they come to one of my shows. I talked to this crazy white woman. She bought me drinks all night, and we were just talking about this and that. And then I get on stage and I say some things that aren't politically correct, but they're things that we're all thinking. It's in a very loving and productive and caring way. My heart is in the right place in all of this. And I think it provides a lot of necessary, I don't even want to use the word healing. I think we heal in the parking lot with weed after the shows.
Yes,
but,
yes,
okay,
yes.
That's ministry.
For some shows, we heal inside with the weed.
Come on now.
Coming up. Are there any major differences about the vibe between cis and trans people that you can put your finger on?
You said put my finger in?
On. I said put your finger on.
What up, though? The conversations stay lit on Dear Black Gay Men podcast. Hookup, entanglement, situation, relationship, everything from dushing to dating.
A top verb, but I am not a top noun. I am a guru at first dates.
It's new every Wednesday. Subscribe now.
Conversation had the gworls triggered. We're talking fuckboys with my guest, Justin Rain. But how did you realize, I'm a fuckboy? Because you fuckboyed the fuckboy. Meet me there Thursday at 9. Okay, Sampson, I do have a question for you. Shifting gears completely, because you did bring up the fact that you might have a date later. Like, how does somebody shoot they shot at you?
Oh, somebody got in my inbox and they said, on Twitter, they got in my DMs. They said, I like my men kind of problematic and I wouldn't mind giving you a little they, them pussy. And I was like, oh, okay.
That is not where I thought that was going, but okay. Was this on your freak Twitter?
No, this is on my regular Twitter.
So there is a freak Twitter though. What would turn you on about someone's approach?
That's changed a lot over the years. I think somebody just being themselves, and being able to look at them and see that they're being uniquely them, and that kind of triggers some interest.
Uniquely them, how? Because Kitten Heels and Sundress was being uniquely them.
That person was not being uniquely them. That person looked like they could take me in a street fight.
Okay. Would you date a trans man?
Huh?
Would you date someone who's trans?
I have messed around with some trans women before.
Would you date them?
I've dated them.
Okay.
I've never been in any serious relationships, but I've had some deep relationships with a couple.
Are there any differences between cis people and trans people that you can pinpoint in your experience?
I was about to say something, but I'm not going to say that. I'm going to be nice.
I mean, aside from biology and anatomy, obviously that could be very different. But what about the vibe? Are there any major differences about the vibe between cis and trans people that you can put your finger on?
You said put my finger in?
On. I said put your finger on.
There are no differences. I think, a lot of the trans folks that I'm friends with are a lot more open than some of the newer queer and trans people. I'm almost 40. And so that also factors.
We the same age.
Yeah, we be in bed by 9:30. We the gay elders now.
Unless I got to work, unless there's a check involved.
Oh, if it's a check involved, then hey now. you know, I'm there. But I think the trans folks that I grew up with, that I'm still friends with, come from a time where we were able to understand everybody's not going to get everything you want them to get, and so as long as they respect you in a certain capacity, you can deal with that. Non-binary stuff is not really new, but I think a lot of the folks that we would call non-binary friends that I have typically have always taken that kind of, I don't care what you call me, just call me my name and respect me.
I think it's like tougher. Like people in general in my age range that act my age are tougher. We have a culture that allows for a lot more offense. People get offended, and lot more thin-skinned conversation that doesn't lend itself to anybody growing. And I think that's what you were saying earlier, is that we're looking for what's wrong in each other versus trying to figure out what's right. Is that your experience?
Yes. For instance, I have an aunt, who I would go visit, and when I would be eating sweet potato pie or whatever, she'd be like, after you use my utensils, you better put them motherfuckers in some Clorox, because I know you've been sucking dick, and so some kids, some of the kids now, if they were told that, they would get on Twitter and it would just, she's homophobic, this and that. But the thing about Auntie is Auntie would say stuff that seemed offensive, but that was her way of letting me know that she saw me. She was just raw like that. I mean, again, it wasn't just about gay issues, it's just issues like that, period. They're just really raw. But and she wasn't particularly fond of gay marriage, but you and your partner are invited to her house.
I completely agree with that. Let's take another break. We'll be right back.
Hit the notification bell because we're going live.
Like that's the least of my worries. The size.
Oh, I think relationships are becoming more complex.
Tuesday and Thursday every week.
Welcome to Dear Black Gay Men Live
at 9 p.m. Eastern. Subscribe at youtube.com/@DearBlackGayMen.
The easiest way to support the channel is to subscribe to Dear Black Gay Men on YouTube. If you're already subscribed, type subscribe in the chat box so I can see who's rocking with the show. Again, subscribe to Dear Black Gay Men on YouTube. That's youtube.com/@DearBlackGayMen. And if you really love the show, you'll hit the notification bell so you never miss a thing. Now, let's get back into the show. Hey, Sampson.
Hey Jay, I just want to thank you first again for having me on, and secondly for your platform. I really appreciate what you're doing, and I think it's important for us to say that to each other too.
Well, thank you. You're so sweet. You make me want to ask you these questions. So every episode, Sampson, I do get questions from all the DMs, and this one was a doozy. You ready to hear some questions for the people?
You bring on the questions from the people.
This question says, I saw the Sampson interview about the kitten heels. I know people have issues with what he said, but he's a comedian. It isn't part of his job to say inflammatory shit. Are we getting a little sensitive with the words? That's Jamal from New Orleans. You got a response to that one?
Jamal from New Orleans, my DMs are open, so if you got some they them pussy. No, I'm playing. I think that is correct. And again, my intention is never to intentionally be inflammatory. I've always been honest and authentic, and so I may not always say things the way people think I should say them. But number one, I'm being honest, and I have conversations publicly the way that I do if I'm sitting on my couch or at my dinner table, because I know who I am. And I don't want anybody to ever be able to say that they heard me say something that I wouldn't say publicly, because I'm an authentic person. And so I think if more of us were able to do that, we wouldn't feel the need to wear masks or be politically correct. Also, my record just as a human being backs up that I didn't mean anything harmful. But again, I think it's important to be honest.
Okay, let's go to the next question. Thank you for that. This one says, Dear Jay and Sampson, I know you normally do questions. I know you normally do questions on your show, but I have a comment about the Sampson situation. He's an important person in our culture. I know he's a comedian and comedians are going to do what comedians do, but something about his position in LGBT culture seems like he should be more educated about gender expression. Then his post makes it seem as if he wants everyone to understand his ignorance instead of educating himself on expressions he might not understand. The whole thing seems like someone who could be moving us forward is actually holding us back. That's Keisha from Dallas.
Hey, Keisha owe me $5. No, I'm just playing. That's Keisha's opinion, but I think what we have to do is be more flexible in our understanding of other people. And that's where I'm at in my stuff, is because like a lot of my friends are straight men and we have very honest conversations about, sexuality and all that stuff. And they say stuff that if many other queer people heard, they might consider it potentially harmful, but I understand where they're coming from. And so I think it is important for us to leave room for other people to be curious about who we are, as opposed to force what we think they should know about us on them, and even disagree, because there are a lot of people who, for instance, I have friends who they don't believe in gay marriage, but they still respect you in your relationship and they would still show up to your wedding, but they'd be like, I don't get gay marriage, but I respect you, and that doesn't make me nullify them as a person. I'm like, okay, and we may have to disagree on that, and that's cool, but that's what makes human differences so rich, is that we don't have to all think the same. And I think, us throwing each other away because somebody thinks different, that's more harmful than anything.
I think you just changed me a little bit, because in my head, as you're saying that, if someone told me that they don't understand gay marriage, I think my gut reaction would be like, oh, I don't fuck with them. And in my head, I'm like, there are many things that I don't understand
about straight people, right? And you would tell them to, I don't understand that shit.
But I don't think that I got one cousin that I'm thinking about, and there are many things he does that I'd be like, that don't make no fucking sense to me. Things about him, things about his habits, things about several things, but he's still my cousin and I love him. And I think that just kind of grew me up a little bit. I think you really did. You just grew me up. Look at you, Sampson. You changed me. Yeah. Let's take another break. We'll be right back. This is our 20th episode, and it's a big one. Lamont White is here talking everything dating.
So these are difficult conversations.
And relationships.
If you want to find love, it is work.
And then Lamont is answering our dating questions live on the show.
It's going down Thursday.
So that was my conversation with Sampson. I want to leave with this. Years ago, I was at dinner with some friends, and some were gay men, some were trans men. One of the trans men threw some playful shade, and I responded with my signature, "Oh, girl," as I have done with many of my cisgender friends many times that evening. Later, the same trans man pulled me to the side, educated me on why misgendering him, even playfully, wasn't cool. Just as Sampson said with some of his they-them friends. I understood, I apologized, and we got back to the shit and merriment of the evening. Had he put me on blast at the table, or had I not had ears to hear his perspective, I wouldn't have been able to grow. Just like Sampson said, yelling somebody down in the comments, forgetting their humanity, no matter how hurtful their words may have been, no matter how unintentionally hurtful they could be, no matter how strong they may think we are, getting deep in the comments and forgetting who the human on the other side is not how we grow. So dear black gay men, get offline and listen. That was our show. I am Jay the Gentleman. That's at JAI the Gentleman on IG and Facebook. If this episode made you feel a little more dope, be sure to subscribe on YouTube, like the video, and share it with someone who needs a dopeness reminder. The podcast is new every Wednesday, new uploads on YouTube every Thursday, so follow at Dear Black Gay Men on social so you never miss a thing. I am Jay the Gentleman. This has been Dear Black Gay Men Live. I will talk to you next time. Bye.